Tassadar got a rework. Basic attack damage reduced. What? Basic attack... Wow. Basic attack damage reduced from 69 to 10. Attack speed increased by 400%. Additional functionality. Your basic attacks now channel and slow the target's movement speed by 25%. Let's give it a feel. 10 a go. That seems horrible. Tychus does what, 40 a go at level 1? What's Zarya's as well? Let's get some perspective on this. Granted, he is support, so it should be tame. Attacks per second, 4 for Tychus. Damage, 45.76, in case there's a modifier that comes in. Zarya does 21. So supports are worth half the damage of tanks, apparently. Or bruisers in that case. So let's go channel on Arthas. That scream. Now this has 0 duration, right? Tassadar's basic attack is a distortion beam that slows enemy units by 20%. Yeah. So when you slow somebody, you can see a small effect on them. It's this little purple spin around their feet there. But this has 0 duration, so you have to be channeling in order to get it done. I like that he's kind of leaning back into it. Oracle, trait, no longer costs mana. Oh wow, look at all this. Okay, never mind. Let's not even read off of this. Oh geez, yeah, every level. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. Okay, let's just start at the beginning and pretend he is entirely new. I should have put on my master skin. Granted, I don't really deserve it. I haven't played Tassadar since beta, really, heavily. Back when he could Archon form and do some pretty darn good damage. You have to imagine, too, back in the day, that there were so few mages in the game that Tassadar actually was able to be a mage. There were also so few auto-attackers that Archon had phenomenal use, great damage, and first wall that no one really understood at the time, which is kind of funny since it's the auto-pick these days. So, Plasma Shield, 50 mana, 8-second cooldown, up quite a bit. Grant a shield that absorbs 530 damage over 8 seconds. Heroes gain 20% lifesteal from basic attacks while shielded. Cool. So cooked in. So obviously we won't have a bunch of talents to give it those enhancements. So what does that actually equate out to be? That equates out to be cooldown increase from 5 seconds. You know, I always liked older, slower shields. Mainly just because it was more fun, because you don't have to work as hard. Those tiny shields, particularly the tiny shields you would cast on yourself, meant you really sacrificed a lot of your own survivability when they did that rework. It also meant that you were the shield machine. And if you could guarantee the enemy team was only going to target one of your units, you could really pump this out. That's why it's so powerful with Tracer. Because she has a low health pool, but you just keep doing it over and over again and increasing her overall health on a 5-second cooldown. I like this a lot better. 8 seconds now. Mana cost increased by 10. Shield amount increased because of the lower cooldown. Looks almost percent based. Remove functionality. No longer gain 50% strength on allied heroes. Yeah, so it's the same all around. Good. That's simple. I like it. And now the lifesteal is baked in. Well, that won't help me much, but, you know, let's go take some hits. And at 20%, this would give me 2 life out of 10 damage. Oh, and I'm doing 9 because it's Arthas and the damage is reduced by 15%. Makes sense. Actually, with the damage reduced by 15%, I'm still getting a full 2. I'm sure it's rounding up then. But that's interesting. Yeah, I mean, I'm not going to regenerate through that. Tassadar surely shouldn't be shielding himself in most situations. So that's pretty good. 8 seconds. 8 seconds. Duration 8 seconds. So yeah, still do the same thing. Pick a target. And keep enhancing it every time you get a chance. 530 shielding, though, is pretty darn nice. Anything different with Psionic Storm? Yes. Damage decreased from 55 to 42. Damage increased by 10% for each consecutive instance of damage. Deal 87 damage per second to enemies in the target area for 3 seconds. Damage increased by 10% for each consecutive instance of damage. So, 3 seconds per second. More damage the longer they stay inside. I have a slowing attack, so let's go ahead and shield up. Let's let him lock on here. Let's go ahead and toggle our cooldowns. So we got him nice and slowed. 9. Okay. Yeah. It goes up. 48. 52. 57. Neat. So the longer they stay inside, all enemies. All enemies. Ooh. Toggle minions. So once all the minions come together, there they go. I like it. Dimensional Shift. Dimensional Shift's cooldown was increased by 10 seconds. Duration increased by 0.5. Additional functionality now grants 25% movement speed for the duration. You can also cancel out the Dimensional Shift early by reactivating the shield. Awesome. The movement speed was a great touch. So I like this a lot. What are you doing down there? Doing some creepy hand stuff, Mr. Alien Man? Oh, yeah. Nice. It's been so long since I've played him. Kind of feels like they reduced the size of his hover. But back when they released Legacy of the Void, they went through and really spruced up his skin textures. He still looks pretty good. And I can shift. And get away. A little bit of bonus movement speed. But I can cancel it early. Because I am invulnerable. And unrevealable. That makes sense. I can't cast any spells. I can't attack while in that phase. So I'm not stasis. But I am invulnerable and unrevealable. And invulnerable basically means unstoppable and undamageable. And unrevealable now. Gosh, these texts are getting a little confusing. But it's a good tool. Dodge stuff. Break roots still, I assume. Let's go ahead and test it out. Stun won't do me any good, though. Okay, rooted. Broke the root. Excellent. Oracle. No longer costs mana. Cooldown reduced from 40 to 30 seconds. Radius decreased by roughly 16%. No longer costs mana. Fantastic. Cooldown reduced. Cool. Area effect. But that's really the decreased area effect? Well, that's still fantastic. Still based off of you, so you can still move it around with yourself. Gives a area. That explains why our Valera was constantly being revealed yesterday in games. Neat. Does what it should, says what it does. Let's dig in. Psi Infusion. Quest. Gain 1 mana for every non-structure enemy hit by Psionic Storm. Reward. After hitting 500 enemies, shouldn't be too hard, increase the size of Psionic Storm by 20%. After hitting 1,000 enemies, increase the damage of Psionic Storm by 20%. Neat. That's pretty groovy. I'm assuming off the base here that this is like the Ragnaros talent, right? Or in the rhythm or any, like, we're just going to be swimming in dings. Because any enemy returns, gain 1 mana for every non-structure hit. So 50 mana. Should get a ding off of each one of these each time it pulses, yeah? Yeah, there it goes. Already at 48 of 1,000. Well, it is going to take a little bit, but not too bad. Let's see. Costs me 50. 3 enemies as they die. I make most of that back. Level 1, too, so there's no enhanced regeneration or anything going on here. Here's a full minion. Let's get to full mana. Drop it on top. Cool. It's free. With its new decreased damage, it won't quite clear the lane, but it does do that enhanced damage as long as they stand in it. Sounds pretty good. We're already a 10th done, so I can't complain. And once we get done with it, we get area and damage. There's the storm. Complete the quest. Toggle the cooldown. A little bit bigger. I'm sure we can reset the talents, pick up Psi Infusion, have our cooldowns reset, get 1 out, complete our quest, get 2 out. There we go. Bigger. Not a ton bigger, but bigger. Increase the size, which means more people would be inside of it. Non-structure enemies, so it would work on monsters. Infernal shrines could be interesting. Could have some application there, throwing it in the pit and whatnot. Certainly very mana efficient as long as you're hitting... What would that take? 1 mana, 3 pulses, 50 mana, 3 so like 15. Yeah, so you need about... I shouldn't have done math again. 7 targets to get full mana back. A boots. What else is available? Oh, they're all quests. How interesting. Templar's Will. Attacking enemy heroes restores 4 mana per second. Reward. After spending 30 seconds attacking heroes, Distortion Beam's range is increased by 1. After spending 60 seconds attacking heroes, Distortion Beam's range is increased by an additional 1. Well, 1 is pretty sizable. We learned that yesterday. So, we get a little bit of mana back. Cast a spell. Let's go ahead and get rid of the toggle cooldowns. Alright, cast a spell. Well, that goes pretty fast. Certainly not, but we're out of lane in this case. Maybe we're not solo laning. Maybe we aren't concerned about our mana. Maybe we have a Malfurion in tow or something like that. 7. Gotta hit him 60. It's per second, so it's not per attack. Actually kind of have to lock on. And I have to hit heroes with it, right? Time spent attacking heroes. So I would help clear the lane, but I'd target the hero. Mana is not anywhere near as efficient, but then again, my mana is so efficient with this first one, I don't even need orbs, so maybe it's too much. Maybe I don't need that. So 20 seconds down already in a slight laning phase. Sure, Arthas is kind of dumb in his AI form, but could be interesting. Alright, let's feel.
Remain vigilant.
So we got to get 30 seconds. That's not hard to do. Let's go ahead and get 30 seconds then, before we move on. So we can feel what 1 feels like. Cool. We should have an increased range of 1 now. Yep, there it is. Slightly bigger. And now we complete our quest. Oh, minion. Wow, that 2 does help out a lot. Oh boy, yep. Real good at killing that. Sizable increase for sure. And still a 20% slow on that guy. The mana's kind of nice too. I wonder if these all have mana-related things to them. Cool, so... what? Attacking heroes, though, so would be like point control? Braxis? Dragon Knight? Places where you're going to get in smaller fights. Bonus range is always nice later on. Basically means you'd still be fighting at the same range because you're using your Psystorm. But as people choose to run away from you, they get slowed by 20%.
Choose a talent.
Kydrian Resonance. I assume. Regeneration globes grant an additional 50% mana. After collecting 20 regeneration globes, Plasma Shield retains 50% of its value after it expires. After collecting 40 regeneration globes, Plasma Shield persists indefinitely. Oh. Wow. 40 globes, though. Gross. 30 globe quests I have definitely not completed, even in the longest of matches at times. Okay, no way to really feel it out at the moment. You just get some orbs, you get bonus regeneration with it. We can't halfway complete the quest, but we can fully complete the quest. We complete the quest. Now we have a shield. It has no timer on it at all. It goes. Other shield, the halfway shield, would have a timer on it for the 8 seconds and then go down to 50% of its value. So if it took damage, it would be 50% of what's left. So a lot like what your previous talents did, but now you're getting it through quest. That's kind of neat. So situational map something or other. Kind of hard to pick. I mean, Templar's Will is just for fun my favorite so far. This one, though, could be easily expected. You're on an 8-second cooldown now. That's how you're actually going to stack it across the team. So, solo support, off support, laning, could be like that. We'll see. Clearly, this is increasing my damage. The size, the mana, that's about damage. This is about control. This is about support. Khala's Clarity. Plasma Shield also grants 25% movement speed for 5 seconds. 8 seconds? Oh, 5 seconds. Wow. To anybody, including myself, right? So I'm walking, and I speed along. 5 seconds of bonus movement speed. That's a long time. 5 seconds. Cool. Increase the lifesteal of Plasma Shield to 40%. Auto attackers like that. If we're going to be doing that sort of thing, naturally we'd want to enhance our shields to last a very long time, if not an infinite amount of time. Khala's Light. I mean, this thing isn't even worth testing on myself. We can just do the math in our heads with my tiny attacks. 12? Cool. You get 40% of that. Khala's Light. Upon expiration or breaking, the target of a plasma shield gains 25 armor for 3 seconds, causing them to take 25% less damage. So, required shield talent level, many different applications. Auto attackers love lifesteal, particularly if you're that solo support. Movement speed, good for getting out of the poop. And other options, maybe making up for the movement speed of something like Butcher that's getting kited. And then you got your Khala's Light, which is probably for, well, anybody, but it'd have to be breaking. It'd have to break and then be attacked further. So that'd be the real classifier here. You would have to absorb the Li Ming orb, then in that next 3 seconds, take some more damage for this to have any effect. Is this visual? Will the enemy know that I've given people this resistance?
Choose a talent.
Let's say we're doing something like this, and armor expiration. So if there's a big shield over my head or something like that, that could be interesting. That could dissuade people from attacking the target. If there isn't, then it could be a surprise factor. Okay, yep, there's the little armored shield to the side. Doesn't tell them how much it's out for, but with 25%, that ain't bad. Situational level. So, let's imagine then, we're doing my build here with a storm. So for a storm then, I'd be sort of a damagey kind of guy. Any of them. I don't know which one I'd pick yet. Situational.
Choose a talent. Choose a talent.
So we'll just kind of barrel on ahead.
As it was foreseen.
Psionic Protection. Increase the cast range of Plasma Shield and Psionic Storm by 40%. 40%. Well, that's a pretty big range. Nope, slightly smaller. Let's go ahead and get... We can use these giants here. And then we'll use this guy here to signify that. So giants, the far giant, and just a little over. There we go. We kind of have a visual representation of our two ranges. Projection. A sizable increase. Sizable increase. With Dimensional Shift, though, you can just be zooming around the poop so much, at least if 13, 16 hold the same secrets in them, the same sort of talents for survivability, so we'll just have to see from there. But that's neat for sure. Range is always nice as you're dancing around. Maybe you're low health, you get to keep participating. Being out of range of maybe your second support like Lily would allow her heals to heal more important people than you. So that's always good.
Choose a talent.
Resonance. Distortion Beam slows enemies affected by Psionic Storm by 40%. Slows enemies affected by Psionic Storm by 40%. So this has no duration. So all we're doing is getting a little bit of bonus slow in there. Let's get Arthas back out here. Because he would have to be in the storm to really feel it. So here we're locked on until he walks again. He won't even really feel that. It will hold people inside the storm longer, so that's pretty good. So 20%. Kiting an Arthas, moving him around. Out of range. Oh, yeah. Alright. Kind of hard to pull off, though. A big if statement on that guy. Rather just do something 100% passive there and not worry about using my storm in a way that it requires me to also be in auto attack range, only to have... I mean, it is a quick attack. It connects immediately, but 3 seconds slow, 40%, while you do kind of bad damage anyway. I think you would need Templar's Will to have the range to actually lock on to people with the... to take advantage of the range that Psionic Storm has. That makes sense. So, probably not for me, but could be interesting. We'll see what stacks together. Mental Acuity. Each takedown... Wait, what? Each takedown earns... each takedown earned lowers the cooldown of Oracle by 3 seconds, to a maximum of 15 seconds. Upon getting 5 takedowns, the sight range of Oracle is increased by 50%. Maximum 15 seconds. So we could get Oracle down to a 15-second cooldown with a 50% increased area? That sounds pretty good. This thing is so massive. Going all the way out to the edges here. Let's go ahead and complete that quest. Wow. That's a lot of sight. That's a very large area, and with a cooldown reduction, you're able to use it more frequently. Well, obviously, you would want things you'd have to be scouting out for there. So another situational level. So there's quite a bit going on with Archon. Let's see what the text is before we dive into it. Archon. Attack damage increased from 111 to 175. Duration decreased from 12 seconds to 10 seconds. Still a good duration. Added functionality. Your basic attacks slow enemies by 40% for 1 second. Now we have a duration there. That's pretty good. Added functionality. Passively refreshes the cooldown of Dimensional Shift on activation. Neat. So kind of like Tychus. Gets another little shift. Removed functionality. Grants a generic shield on activation. Added functionality. Plasma shield on activation. So no longer generic. So any talents I put into it, I will get a copy of that talented shield when I Archon. That's pretty cool. Big, slow attacks. Very Odin-like in its transformation now. I mean, that does increase its personality, but yeah, that's very Odin-like. His basic attacks deal a lot more damage and slow the target 40% for 1 second and splash for 130 damage to enemies within 2.5 range. That's a good range. That's a big splash. Lasts for 10 seconds. But does do reduce damage on the splash, so we can favor some Clog maybe. Maybe think of it like when we have a Kael'thas. Maybe we'll want to go Archon for a little bit of splash damage, spread everything around, a little off-support action. It's a big splash. I'm going to cover the whole lane there. Not like you would pop Archon for lane clear, but it is kind of interesting. And what happened with Force Wall? Range was increased by 2. Added functionality. Passively increases the slow amount of Tassadar's basic attacks from 20 to 30%. Interesting. So you're going control, kind of Brightwingerized. You get more control with your Force Wall talent. Still 12 seconds. Still 2.5. Wall is still the exact same thing. You just get a little more slow with it. I like those passives when they do those things. Force Wall, still just a very weird graphic. Man, what a bunch of situational stuff. What's my attack right now? 15 a go. Jumping that up to 259 a shot would certainly be a pretty big surprise factor. Though I remember that Rexar game we just played, and we kind of kicked that Tassadar's button on the enemy team who went Archon. So, we'll need reasons to do Force Wall for sure, and we'll need reasons to Archon as well. Probably for the splash damage, also for the 40% slow on a 1 second duration.
Choose a talent.
Gosh, so just everything is situational. That's cool, though. That's cool. And you don't really give a... Well, maybe a little bit. We'll see what stacks in the future. We still haven't run across a talent yet that really requires another talent to function. So, you know, we'll just click Archon for now. No reason. Increase dimensional shifts, duration, and speed. Deep shift. Dimensional speed's duration and movement speed bonuses are increased by 50%. That's a pretty big change from what it was. Did we lose our sweet healing talent? Distortion being removed. It got baked in. Scryer removed. Shrink Ray removed. So he lost his generic Shrink Ray. That's a pretty big blow. Shrink Ray is incredible. New talent. Nullification. New talent. Okay. So this was here. We just now have bonus speed. So same as our old one. But now the speed isn't as needed because we have a baked in... What? While shifted, he has 38%. Oh, the text updated. How fantastic. So it was 25%, 50% more, gave us 38%. So not a full 50 like I think we used to have, but that's pretty neat.
Choose a talent.
There was no doubt.
A Dune's Wisdom. Oracle, while Oracle is active, basic ability cooldowns are 50% faster. Active. So once 5 seconds, every 30 seconds. So we would definitely want to do Acuity. What if we... Basic attack ability cooldown faster. Alright, 50%. So this would be... Shield to myself. Let's go ahead and pick this up. 8 seconds, our control test. Oracle. Shield to myself. Ah, right, it doesn't cut the duration, it speeds the cooldown. So we're not really going to see the direct results, though things are going faster. Basic abilities? Basic abilities. So 8:30. Interesting. That's probably the most interesting one, because that's the biggest cooldown. 30 seconds. So, if we were to... Now, this is activate on... Oracle is active, basic ability. Okay, so cool. So if I blew everything, and then I activate the Oracle, it would speed along as well. Neat. Can this allow me to double stack a shield?
Choose a talent.
A key decision.
Let's go ahead and toggle the cooldowns, get that refreshed. So I shield myself, pop this, do all sorts of other things too. Got a pile of shields on top of my health, and I don't know if they stack, actually.
We will define the
Maybe this will tell me the value. Okay, 850 flying off in there.
Remain vigilant.
I guess we need to give it a second to think about it. There we go. Shield. Oracle. More spells. It looks like we just refreshed the shield. Let's go ahead and give it one more go, though. Actually, we can just do this. Looks like no matter how fast you cast, you will refresh the duration of the shield, but you get an entirely new fresh shield. You can't stack shields. So, in that way, maybe doing the mental Adun Wisdom stack doesn't really do anything.
Choose a talent.
As it was
But still,
foreseen.
then you put it on a different target, you refresh the target you were on sooner. It definitely has its uses, and a nice little stat going on there. Nullification. Nullification. Activate to reduce the damage of the target enemy hero by 75% for 3 seconds. Cooldown 1 minute. So Shrink Ray was removed and replaced with a not so good version of Shrink Ray. Actually, let's check it out. What is Shrink Ray? I think it's a 50% damage reduction. So you got 25% more? But you lost all the movement speed control. Yeah, reduce an enemy hero's damage by 50% and movement speed by 50%. Did they also take a second off of it? 3 seconds? 4 seconds. Ah, bummer. Shrink Ray's incredible. And they kind of ruined it a little bit. But with Tassadar's movement abilities, you're able to get pretty deep, get out the nullification. Let's actually see the range on it. And no way to tell at the moment. Okay, that worked. Oh, so it's got a pretty good range on it. Kind of need to run forward on Tassadar or Lily to get this thing out.
It shall be done.
16s. Evasive shields removed. Dimensional warp removed. Oh, crud. That's my healing one. Resonance and lots of new stuff. Okay. I do not like that they took away my healing talent. But we'll see. For now, let's just go... We'll go generic deep shift. I'm not really picking out any of these particular. Phase disruption. Enemy heroes being hit by Sonic Storm have their physical armor reduced by 25%, causing them to take 25% more damage from basic attacks. Interesting. Well, isn't that where you take Tassadar anyway? Illidan, Vala, Tracer, those situations. So that makes sense. I see why you would get increased value out of that. I mean, that's an area effect vulnerability for basic attacks. Let's see if it looks the same as a normal vulnerability. Will they think they're completely vulnerable, or does it have its own icon? Also, is it all enemies? Enemy heroes. So no, it couldn't help us clear out an immortal or anything like that. So it shows us full vulnerability there. And as it fades, we go back down. Of course, Arthas has his own armor, so we're negating some of that. So there you go. There's your reason to keep people inside of it. Being hit by Psionic Storm, so actually inside the area long enough. So there's your reason for Renaissance, for resonance. Or resonation. Because you're going to keep them inside it longer. So, okay, so there's sort of the crowning achievement, possibly, of our Storm build to enhance the attacks of auto-attackers. I feel it. Psionic Echo. A second Psionic Storm can be cast within 1.5 seconds of the first cast. Physical armor. So you just don't have the auto attacks, but you're still doing a Psionic Storm build. So you're going to do a Psionic Echo. That makes sense. And now you're able to sort of set up a track. If I were to come in and gank Arthas here, perhaps, I could be like... and give him a long walk home. And with an increased range, or an increased area effect, gosh, how do you choose? You can get some increased value out of that, too. So you're with auto-attackers, and you're doing a Storm build. You're without auto-attackers, and you're doing a Storm build. What happens if you're not doing a Storm build? What is Focus Beam? While Oracle is active, basic attacks against heroes deal an additional 1% of the target's maximum health as damage. I love those sort of things. While Oracle is active, last 5 seconds, we get a giant killer. How many attacks is that? What is my attack speed? Attacks per second. Attacks per second is 4. 4 attacks per second. That's 4%. 5 seconds. So 5, 4, 20% of their health? Really? While Oracle is active? No. No, who would let that happen?
There was no doubt.
Focus Beam. Percent-based damage. I love it.
Your will.
But they have to have Oracle. So we're lasering, we're slowing, we're lasering, and we activate. 45, 45, 45, 45. A dramatic increase, to be sure. Alright, so that at least is slightly easy. I think I can fathom this one. So Templar's Will, we increase our attack range to make sure we stay up on them. We would want to do perhaps movement speed so we can maybe kite along with them in the early game to make sure that we are getting stacks. Perhaps. Static Storm range, beam. No, I would want acuity so I can decrease my cooldown. Let's go ahead and complete that quest. So I now have a 15-second cooldown, right? No? Oh, that's the range. Each takedown earned lowers the cooldown of Oracle by 3 seconds to a maximum of 15 seconds. So I guess it doesn't work because I didn't actually... So I guess completing quests doesn't complete everything. So we'd have to get some takedowns. So for now, we won't be able to feel that, but down to 15 seconds in our heads. Let's do here. Well, I'm not distorting if I'm Archon, so I would want Force Wall to lock them down longer, I guess. Nullification doesn't slow. Basic ability cooldowns. Well, Oracle is active. Shift, nullification. I guess I would do this guy since I've reduced the cooldown, and then increase basic ability damage. Basic attacks against the hero deal an additional 1% of the target. Okay, cool. So my quest is complete. I should have sweet increased range. Probably wouldn't be a bad idea to maybe throw a slow in here. But where would I even get that? Here? But I need that now for decreased cooldowns.
It shall be done.
So we engage, we pop out, activate! Burn, Arthas! Well, I mean, that'd still be 20%. The basic attack damage probably gets rid of his passive regen, too, so... It could be okay. Does level 16 beam damage increase the proc during Archon? Yeah, we need to find that out. I mean, here, obviously, if we're going for a build like this and we're going to control during Oracle, it wouldn't be a bad idea to do a little bit of Force Wall business. But let's see. So, reset talents. Templar will. Attacking maybe heroes after Distortion Beam's range. Distortion Beam. So this replaces my attack. Archon gains Plasma Shield, basic attacks deal in 1 second. So I don't know if it counts as a Distortion Beam yet. So let's go ahead and grab up Templar's Will. This doesn't matter. Slows enemy affected by, well, to 40%. That wouldn't stack with Archon at all anyway, so we'd want to avoid that in the first place. Archon, ability cooldowns, focus beam. Alright, so let's see. 19, 68, the bonus damage. 328. Yes. Okay. But it's still a single one. So you'd get a giant killer, but your attack speed's so slow that's not doing anything. Still very interesting. Still very important because if it works alongside Archon, then that's pretty good. It means we don't have to avoid Archon just because we want to do some giant killer damage. Storm Shield, removed. Rewind, removed. Twilight Archon, new functionality, and 2 new talents. Doesn't matter, doesn't matter, doesn't matter.
I concur.
But we picked Twilight, we picked Archon, and now we've got Twilight Archon. Basic attacks while in Archon form, refresh its duration. Refresh its duration? So if it lasts 10 seconds, one auto attack should refresh its duration. And it's ticking. Ooh. I like all the purple stuff going on there. It's ticking, it's almost over, and I get an attack out. And I get an attack out. And I get an attack out. Oh, wait a second.
Choose a talent.
Our Templar's Will, we can keep this going, actually. So Templar's Will affects our attacks while in Archon. Now, of course, we didn't have our level 20 talent, so nothing happened. Let's do Templar's Will. Doesn't matter, doesn't matter. Let's go ahead and complete that quest. So this was our attack range. Archon. Cool. So attack range does affect Archon. So there's very much an Archon build in here. Prismatic Link. Basic attacks bounce to hit 2 additional targets for 50% damage. Let's see. Enemy units are slowed. Okay, cool. So we can test this right here. 2 additional targets, 50% damage. That's kind of neat. And they're all slowed. They're all affected. Which should mean, then, that if I were to do... Well, Phase Disruption for sure would give me some bonus damage, but...
Choose a talent.
If I did Templar's Will, doesn't really matter at the moment. Wisdom into the Focus Beam, and Prismatic Link.
There was no doubt.
Basic attacks bounce. And no way to test here, but if that bounces for giant killer damage across multiple people, I don't see why it wouldn't, because this damage is doing that right now. That's pretty groovy. Alright, now the other real test. Does it work with Archon? Splash damage. Is the splash damage naturally for 50% of the damage? It is. Yeah, so we deal 50% damage. The slow is going on to the other lanes, too. Yeah, so we get both the splash damage and... Wow. So let's get it down to a couple minions here, and we can test if maybe we can bounce onto Arthas. Cool, that's bouncing onto him there. There's the giant killer damage. I'm an Archon. The splash, it goes through. But it looks like the initial burst is the only one with splash, but it will stack, so I can get both the damage. Yeah. Wow, cool. That's pretty groovy. Gotta get to level 20 for it, though. Force Barrier. Force Wall's range is increased by 100%, and its cooldown is reduced by 6 seconds. 100%. Well, there's our range. There it is. On the minion. And 100%. Wow. It would help a lot with angles. The further back you are, the more minute you can be in this distance. So I could do that very easily. Whereas if I wanted to do that from up here, I kind of have to make this big shift. Sort of like the outside of the record is spinning faster than the inside. If I want to do a good force wall like this, I leave a hole open. So I actually have to walk all the way over here and complete that. But if I'm further back with this range, I can do either one really efficiently. Ooh, fancy. Could easily be the auto pick. Gosh, down to a 6-second cooldown, no less, too. Let's build the fort. Oh, you can only have one at a time. Oh, because you have to cancel it to cast the next one. Oh, no fort building today.
Choose a talent.
Shield Battery. Cooldown 75 seconds. Activate to give all nearby allied heroes an untalented plasma shield. Untalented? Well, I can see how that would get out of hand. That'd be a sizable amount of shielding, though. What are we up to? Level 20? 1,118? So, you give that to everyone in an area around you. Activate to give all nearby allies. So not yourself? Nope, you as well. Still can't double stack the shields, it seems. But that would be a quick way to give a lot of resistance, turn around a team fight. That's super cool.